The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon ran for 10 seasons, the most any Ninja Turtle show has ever ran for. Produced nearly 200 episodes and went through multiple major changes in style and storytelling and eventually ended up with an episode called Divide and Conquer. But was it a satisfying ending? Well, not exactly. Today we're looking at how the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series ended with a brief look back at Season 8, the final 2 seasons, the series finale itself, and even the strange live-action follow-up that came afterward, Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. And before we get into the finale, I want to make something clear. In my opinion, Season 8 is one of the best seasons of the original entire series. Outside of Season 3, Season 8 is probably my favorite season of the show. So let's talk about why. By the time Season 8 came around, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1987 cartoon had already been on the air for many years. The show had gone from a relatively simple action comedy series to one of the biggest animated franchises in the world from 1989 to 1991. But by 1994, the series was starting to change, and that change was immediately noticeable. Season 8 introduced the famous Red Sky era of the series. The sky was no longer bright blue. For some reason, the animation and atmosphere became darker, which was honestly cool. The series stories became more how do I put it? Good, like way better than before. At least in Season 8, the Turtles used their weapons more seriously. The villains more dangerous, and the show genuinely felt like it was trying to evolve. And honestly, I think it worked. Season 8 only has 8 episodes, but I think all 8 of them are amazing. We start with Get Shredder, which was honestly my favorite episode of the entire show, outside of Cowabunga Shredhead from Season 3, which brings Shredder and Krang back into the spotlight and immediately establishes that the show is operating under a different set of rules now. Then there's Wrath of the Rat King, which brings the Rat King into the story and continues more connected storytelling that Season 8 is going for. State of Shock continues the season's larger storyline, while Cry, HAVOC, and HAVOC in the streets introduce Titanus, I think that's how you say his name, the HAVOC mutants. These episodes give the season a much stronger sense of continuity than the average episode of the classic series beforehand. Then we get Enter Krakus. I forget how you say his name. I'm reading off a script here that I created, and I forget how you say his name, but whatever, because it's been a while since I've seen these episodes. Which expands the HAVOC storyline, followed by Cyber Turtles, which gives us a pretty fun science fiction adventure. And then we reach the season finale, Turtle Trek. And this episode is important because, in my opinion, this is where the show stopped trying. Now, I don't mean that Season 8 itself stopped trying. I think Season 8 is fantastic. But Turtle Trek feels like the last time the series was genuinely attempting to build towards something, except for those 3 episodes in Season 10, which brought back Shredder and Krang. The episode brings the Turtles into a major conflict involving Shredder and Krang's attempts to regain access to Dimension X and restore their power. It feels like a great, real season finale, which is the first time I really feel like there was a season finale since, Season 3 of the show. I think there may have been a good ending for season finale for Season 7, but yeah. There are stakes, there's continuity, there's a sense that the show is building toward the next chapter. And then Season 9 happens. Now, I want to be fair to Season 9. I don't think Season 9 is bad, it's just very different. Like, am I glad it exists? Yes. Do I want it to exist? Yes. But would I watch it myself? No. Like, unless if I'm trying to make a YouTube video or if I'm just trying to finish the series. The biggest change is the introduction of Lord Dreg, who becomes the new main villain of the series. Shredder and Krang are gone for most of this series, and they only appear in 3 episodes that I mentioned earlier in Season 10, which are actually good episodes. Maybe it's just that Shredder and Krang are just really that good, or there's just something else going on. Because like I feel like those 3 episodes in Season 10, Lord Dreg was actually a good villain for those 3 episodes, where for the rest of the series he's not really a great villain, but I don't know. The Turtles are still the Turtles. They're fighting villains and protecting New York, but the feeling is different. And this is where I think a lot of fans start to lose interest. Season 9. People usually say Season 7 is where it ended for them, but for me, it ended at Season 9. The show had spent years building up to Shredder and Krang as the main villains. They were iconic. They were part of the identity of the series. So replacing them with Lord Dreg was always going to be difficult. But I actually think Dreg is a pretty interesting villain. He's more serious than Shredder. He's more calculating, and he doesn't have the same comedic relationship with the Turtles that Shredder had. That makes the show feel less like the classic TMNT cartoon. But it also means that Season 9 is trying something different. And personally, I don't think Season 9 is bad. I just feel like it's a different show. Season 10 continues the story from Season 9. And once again, I don't think it's a terrible season. There are just some good ideas here. The Turtles continue to deal with Lord Dreg, and the season attempts to bring together some of the major conflicts from the Red Sky area. But at this point, the series is clearly nearing the end. The show has already gone through so many changes. The animation style changed, the tone changed, the villains changed, the storytelling changed. And by Season 10, the series feels like it's running on the last bit of momentum it has left. But even so, I think this final season is watchable. It's not Season 3, it's not Season 1, it's not Season 8. It's not Season 4 either. And the other ones, I don't know. But I don't think it deserves to be completely dismissed either. And then we watch the final episode. The final episode of the original 1987 series is Season 10, Episode 8, Divide and Conquer. And this is where the show officially ends. After 10 seasons, nearly 200 episodes, countless battles with Shredder, Krang, Bebop, and Rocksteady, and a huge number of other villains, this is the final adventure of the original animated Turtles. And honestly, it's a pretty strange way to end the series. The episode involves the Turtles searching through the Technodrome for Krang's exosuit. And during the search, they encounter something that looks like the suit. The episode plays with the idea that the suit itself might somehow be alive, leading to a bit of a fake out. It's a fun concept, but it really doesn't really feel like the grand finale of 10 seasons television series. There isn't a huge final battle that permanently changes the status quo. There isn't a massive goodbye to the characters. There isn't really a moment where the series says this is the end. Instead, the episode just really ends. It's kind of cool. Like the ending is kind of like an ending, but it kind of just feels like a season finale, not a series finale, especially for the show. As Splinter just says that he is their equal, Mikey's like, "What do you mean? You mean our master?" And he's like, "No, you're equal now. You can overcome anything." It's actually kind of bittersweet, but just like I said, it feels like a season finale. And I think that's the biggest problem with Divide and Conquer. It's not necessarily a bad episode. It doesn't feel like a finale. After everything the Turtles have been through, I feel like the show deserved something bigger. Like maybe a return for Shredder and Krang, and maybe even Bebop and Rocksteady, because for some reason they weren't in those 3 episodes that where Shredder and Krang returned in Season 10. They just disappeared in Season 8. maybe one final battle with Lord Dreg. Because like we did get a battle with him, but he kind of just dies pretty quickly and it's kind of over. And then the series is over. And shortly after the original cartoon ended in 1996, in 1997, the Turtles were given another new direction with Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. This was a live-action television series that tried to reinvent the franchise once again. It introduced a fifth turtle named Mei-Pi-Chi, aka Venus de Milo, changed the status quo, and gave the Turtles a very different tone and style. And let's just say, it is definitely one of the strangest chapters in the history of the franchise. Like, I love Venus de Milo, Mei-Pi-Chi, whatever the hell her name is, but she's really the only good part of this show. But it is also interesting because it shows how hard the franchise was trying to find a new direction after the original cartoon ended. The 1987 series was over. The classic version of the Turtles was no longer the current version, and the franchise was moving into a different era. And also, The Next Mutation ended after 26 episodes, one season, while the original show had 193 episodes with 10 seasons. So what do I think about the ending of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series? I think the series peaked many years before it ended, but I also think the final season deserved more credit than they usually get. In my opinion, Season 8 is amazing. Outside of Season 3, it is my favorite season of the entire series. The darker atmosphere, the more serialized storytelling, the red sky, and the stronger sense of community all made it feel like the show was trying something new. And then, in my opinion, Turtle Trek is where the effort ends. From season 9 onward, the series isn't necessarily bad, but it feels like the show was no longer trying to reinvent itself in the same way. Lord Dreg is a different kind of villain. The stories are still entertaining, and there are definitely good episodes, but the series feels like it is winding down. And then Divide and Conquer brings the show to an end. Not with a bang, not with an epic final battle, but with one more adventure and a weird battle that wasn't really good. And maybe that's the best way to describe the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon's ending. It was never really about reaching a final destination. It was about the next adventure, the next villain, the next scheme. The next time the Turtles would leap into action and shout "Cowabunga." And even though the 1987 series eventually came to an end, the Turtles themselves nowhere near finished. Because after the original cartoon, there would be new movies, new shows, new comics, new versions of the characters, and of course, The Next Mutation. But what do you think? Do you think the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series had a good ending? Do you think Divide and Conquer should have been a bigger finale? And what is your favorite season of the original series? Let me know in the comments section below. So everyone, that's it in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, turn notification bell, and see you in the video upload. Peace!